Things you didn't know about Richard Mille. Welcome to Culture Official. Today, we're going to present you with some exciting facts about Richard Mille, a man and brand well known worldwide for the most exclusive high-end luxury watches. Born in plagued France in the year, Mille started his career in the watchmaking industry in 1974 and held senior management roles in various watch companies. His educational background includes a marketing degree from Besom Kong, and he lived in England for a year to learn the language as well. His educational background includes a marketing degree from Besom Kong, and he lived in England for a year to learn the language as well. He spent his whole life in the watch industry, although before getting into production of his own brands of watches, he appeared to find the work a bit restricted in the creative areas. He always longed to be a part of the actual design and development of the timepieces, as opposed to just manufacturing and selling them. His drive pushed him to launch his own brand at the age of 50. If not for his vision, the bold luxury segment that exists today may not have come to be. He has been successful in marrying the traditional elements of watchmaking with contemporary designs and materials. This, combined with unique ways of marketing, has led to the creation of a whole new generation of luxury specialized watches. If you're new here, welcome. Be sure to subscribe and follow us on Instagram at Culture Official. So it's time now to take a closer look at the man and the brand that revolutionized the luxury watch industry with the things you didn't know about Richard Mille. Number 1. He carved his first design out of a bar of soap. While Richard was the CEO of French jewelry company Mabusson, he craved to own the entire design process all through his tenure and was inspired to create something new. At one point, he knew exactly the design he had in mind, and he carved the prototype for it into a bar of soap, which later would be converted into reality by his team in Switzerland. In an interview, he stated, "I knew exactly what I wanted. I remember the day like it was yesterday. I carved what would be the prototype for my very first watch out of a bar of soap." Number 2. Mille started his own business at the age of 50. Entrepreneurship knows no age, and Mille spent a majority of his life studying and marketing luxury brands such as Seiko and Mapuzin. At the age of 50, he told himself he needed to build his own brand then or he never would. He wanted to have complete control over the watch brand, not just the marketing of it. And thus was born the brand that is now selling some of the most expensive and sought-after watches in the industry. Number 3. He had a clear direction for what he wanted to build, and he didn't start with any traditional market research. Most brands would start out with doing a lot of marketing and research before getting into production. However, Richard Mille knew what he wanted right from the get-go. He didn't conduct any marketing studies because he wanted to do a technical study instead. "I don't want to integrate any marketing data. No, I will go pure, cutting edge, sharp as I want." While this may appear risky and cocky, to some, genius means believing in your brand and your vision and the fact that you have value out there. Number 4. He invested his own money in developing his first watch, the RM1 Tourbillon. His first watch, the RM1 Tourbillon, was modern, handcrafted, and featured carbon fiber, not gold or diamonds. He knew the cost of his design would be twice as much as any other tourbillon at the time, but he trudged on, using his own money to fund the development. Richard was convinced there was a market for the revolutionary mechanical watch he envisioned. The watch was a success, and even though only 17 pieces were produced, the demand for these specialized watches was definitely growing. Number 5. The watches are made in Switzerland, yet Richard still pays taxes in France. The Richard Mille watch brand is based in Switzerland, and this is where all of the watches are produced. Still, Richard chooses to pay taxes in France. He knows it's crazy, but he loves France so much, he does end up paying more taxes this way. He's an eccentric with a love of fresh air, and he enjoys attending the Tour de France up close with the best cyclists in the world. But none of that matters to him. Racing along the French countryside. Number 6. His inspiration is his love for car racing and Formula 1. The major inspiration for the brand's Richard Mille has been the technical world of car racing and Formula 1. Most of the models feature tonneau-shaped cases, transparent backs, skeleton-looking dials and flaunt, a very futuristic and technological feel with unusual materials. He calls his watches a symbiosis of his love for cars, aircraft, and everything mechanical. Number 7. Mille partnered with watchmaker Audemars Piguet. Piguet is a Swiss watch manufacturer that has been family-owned since they created the first repeater watch in 1892 and are best known for their Royal Oak watch line. In 1999, MILLE joined forces with the historic watchmaker for the production of its first line of watches. But he held on to the brand name and image. That is MILLE. In 2001, with the help of Audemars Piguet's company APRP, the first brand of watches was launched. Number 8. A special edition of his RM56 Sapphire cost $198 million. MILLE created his revolutionary RM56 split-seconds chronograph tour below. Watch in 2012. It was the first watch to have the entire three-part case cut from a solid block of sapphire, and each watch features 35 jewels. In 2018, a special edition dedicated to the race card river Felipe Massa was sold for $198 million. Only 5 of the special watches were created, and they were sold out almost immediately. Number 9. Champion tennis player Rafael Nadal wore an $850,000 Richard Mille timepiece at the French Open. Spanish tennis player Rafael Nadal was one of the first athletes to wear a Richard Mille watch while playing his sport. But the first watch he wore for Mille broke, as did several others. Mille said this helped him to learn what worked and what didn't. When it comes to creating high-endurance luxury timepieces, Nadal has played professionally with and won several tournaments while wearing a Mille watch. In 2015, he wore the $850,000 RM27-2 Whirlpool Rafael Nadal while playing at the French Open. And the watch doesn't affect any of his play because it weighs only 20 grams, which is less than the weight of 4 quarters. Number 10. He was the first to insist all of his brand ambassadors wear their watch while in action. Golfer Bubba Watson, Formula One drivers Romain Grosjean and Felipe Massa and Olympic sprinter Johan Blake are just some of the famous names that are his brand sponsors. These celebrities have won at their respective sports while wearing the watches as well, which adds to their flair of owning one, for sure. Mille has said, "When I work with someone, my only condition is that they must wear the watch during their sport. It's my only condition." He further went on to design and craft watches for various sports, including golf, sailing and tennis. Number 11. Richard Mille once handed over his own watch to Mark Cavendish. Mark Cavendish is one of the best cyclists in the world and a watch collector. He was starstruck when he met Richard Mille at the Tour de France and said he was shaking like a leaf when they met. They talked for a while, and then Richard casually handed Mark his own limited edition RM11 Felipe Massa watch, saying, "I want you to wear this. I hope it brings you luck." Number 12. In 2017, he created the lightest split-second chronograph in the world. Richard Mille is known for creating luxury timepieces that are not only durable, but super light. The weight is an important consideration for athletes so that the watch does not affect their performance. Mille has revolutionized luxury watch segments in a number of ways, and these lightweight timepieces are another game-changer in the industry. In 2017, Mille made history yet again with his RM53 McLaren F1 split-second tourbillon chronograph at just 40 grams. It has the distinction of being the lightest split-seconds chronograph ever made. Number 13. In a collaboration with Ferrari, Richard Mille has released the RM Up 01. Measuring in at a mere 1.75 mm thick, it is billed as being the thinnest mechanical watch in the world, dethroning previous record holder the Bulgari Octo Finissimo Ultra by a whole 0.05 mm. Production is limited to just 150 units on the piece, which combines a futuristic aesthetic with a traditional architecture, with the movement painstakingly assembled inside the case. Thank you for spending some time with us. Make sure to like and subscribe so you never miss another video.